everybody, how we all doing today? I hope y'all are having a wonderful Saturday, June 27th. So it's been a pretty awesome weekend, right? I apologize I haven't been really uploading as much full-length videos, you know, a lot of shorts, just reviewing stuff, but today I've been wanting to do not a special video, not really for a big milestone, but we did hit 250 subscribers, which is awesome. Maybe this could be a milestone. And look at who I also have here with me. She's just playing Roblox on her tablet because she loves Roblox. But today, what I'm going to be talking about is 2020 and the no phone flinging ecosystem. But not Nerf. 2020 was a bad year for a lot of other people. And for me. But when it comes to the foam flinging ecosystem, Nerf, Dart Zone, Buzzbee, X-Shot, there's one company who made 2020 one of the greatest years of foam flinging ever. Not Nerf, not Buzzbee, not X-Shot, even though X-Shot did release some pretty good stuff, like the Crusher. Dart Zone. Dart Zone changed the landscape in 2020. And for fun, I want to talk about every Dart Zone blaster in 2020, review it shortly. There's not going to be a tier list, but do a retrospective video of Dart Zone in 2020. I have mostly every single Dart Zone 2020 blaster. I was just going to think about doing a standalone review on the Dart Zone Adventure Force Villainator today, and I did do one earlier a couple hours ago, but I looked back and I'm like, you know what? I want to do something more fun, considering that people have already reviewed these standalone. I want to do a whole retrospective on Dart Zone 2020. So buckle up, everybody. This is going to be a fun video to do. Dart Zone was coming off a pretty good year in 2019, with some releases like the Destructor, Savage Spin. In 2018, they introduced one of the best foam darts in the game, also known as the Dart Zone Adventure Force Waffle Dart. Way more accurate than your standard Nerf Elite darts or your Buzzbee long distance darts, or pretty much any other darts you had. There were AccuStrikes, there were other knockoffs, but these were pretty much the gold standard of full lengths. And they don't really produce these anymore, but these were really good for what they were back at the time. It's sad to see these go because I really like these darts. But we got nitro shots, we got meteor darts. They're still kicking in with good quality darts. The first blaster Dart Zone released in 2020 was the Dart Zone Pro Mark 1.1. Basically a revision of the original Dart Zone Pro Mark 1.0, which came out in 2019, which was a limited exclusive $180 Pro Blaster that shot full length and half length darts, which required assembly. The Dart Zone Pro Mark 1.1 was a very similar thing, but had some issues. It's not just the blasters that made Dart Zone special in 2020. They did some big things that changed the landscape of how we view the foam flinging hobby. One of the biggest things that Dart Zone was really good at doing in 2020 was improving and revising blasters from the past, and one of those was the Dart Zone Magnum 2X. This is the original Dart Zone Magnum, and the Dart Zone Magnum was a 2016 release 40-round top prime springer that had slam fire. Very cool for what it was, but it had some glaring issues. One, the fact that the stock, I completely ripped it off, but the stock was very wobbly, very flimsy. It was more like a wrist brace, and it didn't really do much. It was not really good. A lot of people took those off. What did Dart Zone decide to do? They made a stock that was not only adjustable, but solid as all heck. It's very sturdy and also has multiple points of adjustment. The second glaring issue that the Dart Zone Magnum had was that the drum could not be removable. You would have to modify this thing to make the drum removable. Well, Dart Zone listened and made the drum completely removable. So that means you can have hot swappable drums on the fly, and since Dart Zone sold these on their website, you could have basically a magazine rig but full of 40 dart high capacity drums that are just gigantic, huge. It also has slam fire. That means you hold down the trigger and it immediately fires after the priming handle is pulled back. The Magnum X2 is still a super solid blaster today. You can find these at Target. There's different color variants like the Nitro Shot version. Yeah, I would highly recommend the Magnum X2. I like it quite a bit, but that is Magnum X2. I already did review this, so a lot of these blasters that I've already reviewed, I will not be going over them in huge in-depth detail. Yay, I get to talk about my favorite foam-flinging pistols of all time. Y'all probably know what they are if you followed me on this channel. The Dart Zone Blitzfire 2X. Now, these are not the original Blitzfires. Just like the Dart Zone Magnums, these are revised versions that are better and worse in some ways. But I'm not gonna gush about these for one. But the Dart Zone Blitzfire has been my favorite Nerf pistol since the day I got them. It is top prime, 6 shots, but these do not have cylinders that pop out. Rather, when you pull the triggers, they rotate the cylinders. Say when you want to reload, you just pull the trigger, load the dart in, pull the trigger, load the dart in, pull the trigger, load the dart in, and it is very nice to use. They hit pretty hard for what they are, about 80 to 90 FPS. I do not have a chronograph, so I checked reviews, and that is pretty much what these things have hit. Not only that, but there are other color schemes of the Blitzfires as well, such as the Nitro Shot versions, which are basically the same thing as these other ones, but came out in 2024, and with a nice, new, fresh Nitro Shot color scheme. These are the version 1 Blitzfires, and I kind of like these a bit more than the version 2s for some reason. I do kind of like these more than the version 2s, but I'm not really going to get into that. They have the sticker, which these were removed, which these also came out in 2016, same year as the Magnum. They also had these dart holders that were kind of useless. They kind of worked, but just people didn't use them because they were kind of weird and were just, I don't know, I wouldn't really mess with the meter. I wouldn't necessarily say that these are exact upgrades. I'd say these are side grades. More options is always better, and I really like what they did with these two. And now we're gonna actually get into some new blasters from that year. This is the Dart Zone Code Ops Corner Fire. The Corner Fire is a very interesting one because we haven't really seen much blasters like this before. I mean, we've seen the Rebel Corner Sight, which was a smart AR Nerf thing that shot around corners, which is really cool. But it was a bit underpowered and it was not that all useful. But this, oh my gosh, I got it again! A flywheel, semi-automatic, cylinder-fed blaster that shoots around corners. Not exactly at a 90-degree angle, but it's close. And I'm not really good at modding or mechanics, but I don't even know how that works. You have it turning almost 90 degrees. The pusher, it still works. The corner fire is pretty solid for what it is. I feel like this is a niche-filled blaster. If you want something that shoots around corners, the capacity is pretty okay. 10 rounds, I think you can do removable cylinders for this? I don't know. It shoots pretty well, about 80 to 90 FPS, maybe 100 on a good day. It has pretty good ergonomics, but if you don't need the corner gimmick, if you're not a big fan of the cylinders, you know, say you want something like magazines, something more interchangeable and diverse, I'd say maybe don't get a corner fire, but this was really good for what it is. This was a glimpse of some of the new ideas that Dart Zone was cooking that year that might not have fit for everybody, but gave some cool use cases in combat. You could literally shoot around the corner or a barrier. I mean, this mirror actually works. The next blaster we're going to talk about is something that I don't have, but we're going to talk about it real quick. The Dark Zone Adventure Force Sportsman. This is something that some people kind of forgot, but it was pretty decent for what it was. It was a pump-action, hopper-fed dart blaster that held 20 rounds. That's something we haven't really seen before. We've seen stuff like the Dark Zone Command Fire or the Destructor, or the upcoming Matrix Fire that came out a year after, but those were flywheelers. It did okay. I mean, it wasn't the most reliable thing ever. It had some issues, jamming, the fact that the priming mechanism is disgustingly ratchety, but it's pretty cool for what it was. Another innovation that hasn't really been seen before that thing existed. But now we're gonna get into the real popular stuff. I mean, these blasters were praised and talked about like absolute heck. They called this thing the Strife Killer. I don't know about that. I don't think a Strife Killer exists. I don't think there's any motorized magazine-fed flywheeler better than the Strife. The Dark Zone Spectrum is what I'm talking about. Now, the Spectrum was seen as the new Strife back then. A motorized, semi-automatic flywheeler that was very smooth, hit way harder than a Strife, and seen quite a bit of modability. Now, the Spectrum is great for what it is stock. I mean, the rev time is better, it shoots harder, the trigger pull is buttery smooth, you can rev it out of the box without a magazine in it, which is pretty darn cool. It has 6 AA batteries, so double that voltage. It came with a bunch of other attachments. It kind of reminded me of the Unstrike Recon, but this is a stock to a different blaster that I'm going to talk about right after this. Y'all probably know what that thing is. This was the gold standard. Now, stock, it had a bit of problems, like the locks, the performance was a bit low. When it comes to modability, things are endless. With the Strife, you can do anything you want to with the Strife. Stock, the Spectrum is a better blaster, but when it comes to modability and everything else, I think the Strife has an edge. And quite honestly, I take a modded Strife over a modded Spectrum any day of the week. This thing came out in 2020. It's still out on store shelves. The Spectrum's not on store shelves. A lot of these other things I talked about are not on store shelves. Maybe the Magnum X2 Nitro Shot version. But this, the Dark Zone Adventure Force Villainator. I was actually going to think about doing a standalone review of this blaster today. It's been 5 years since I got this thing, June 27th, 2021. That was a great day. And this was the first blaster in my collection before all of these other ones I got, where I genuinely thought it was so more practical. It was a room clear, it was almost near perfection, because I got other blasters back at the time that were decent, but not really comparable to what this thing can do. Maybe the second closest was, Mega Megalodon. The Magnum 2X was a great blaster. And actually, spoiler alert, I like this more than this. The drum is tiny. And just like the Magnum 2X and a lot of other attachments from Dark Zone, you can buy these separately. Kind of having a magazine-style rig, but for these. Which, the drums were removable on these. You can just yank them out, simple as that. The stock is also removable. This is proprietary, it only works with the Spectrum and this. The Spectrum stock also works with this, but not any other blasters. It's not standard N-Strike compatible. And it's pump action. Unlike the Turbo Advance before it, it had slam fire, and you did not have to worry about flipping a switch to move on to the next 20 row of darts. No, it's just straight slam fire. And this was one of, if not the best slam fire drum blaster out there. The Magnum 2X did a great job with slam fire, but it was a bit clunky and not a lot of people like Top Pride. This thing could obliterate a zombie horde in a matter of seconds. The Villainator is absolutely fantastic. I think out of all of the big boys we've talked about, I think the Villainator is the best one. Highly recommend the Dark Zone Adventure Force Primetime Toys Villainator. Now we're going to take a look at some stuff that shook the ever-living crap out of the hobby. And I mean shook the ever-living crap out of the hobby back then. Not really now. It is pretty much normalized. No, they're quite disappointing in 2020. Especially when it came to the Elite 2.0 line. Because it was the same blasters, but cheaper. Glued together, clipped together, and had very identical performance. Now, not all of them were super bad, but most of them were just quite disappointments. Elite 2.0 did get better after then, but yeah, it was not really looking good for Nerf at the time, especially when also Ultra was accompanying it. Dark Zone decided to tease that they were coming with 100 packs of short darts. Now, why was that so revolutionary? You may ask. Well, that's because the only way you could get short darts before Dark Zone decided to drop this bomb on us was going through sketchy websites or just getting terrible short darts at their heads just decapped like absolute crazy. But these were durable, these were pretty nice for what they are. Dark Zone Pro has seen a lot of missteps, and I'm not really a big Dark Zone Pro fan myself. I do like some of their blasters, but a lot of them are just not really stuff I would want to pick up. There's some good stuff, but it's just, I'd say Dark Zone Pro is a very hit or miss line. This, my friends, was the one that started it all. Introducing the Dark Zone Adventure Force Tactical Strike Nexus Pro, a $50 pump action blaster that takes full-length darts and short darts, to introduce short dart adapters and half-length dart magazines, which, moving on forward, they do not use these adapters anymore. They use Talon-style compatible mags with short dart mag wells that are not compatible with full-length darts. There are way better blasters than the Nexus Pro when it comes to the Pro category. I feel like the Nexus Pro should still be highly appreciated and thanked that, because this was the one that started it all. Pump action magazine fed feels like the baseline for what a series should start off with. And this thing blew everybody's mind. Everybody said just go buy Nexus Pro, go buy Nexus Pro. This is not the exact orange color scheme. It had quite a bit of quality control issues, especially with the creakiness of the plastic as use goes on. The sights were quite mediocre. I do have them, I just don't really want to put them on. You do have an adjustable stock. I'm not really a big fan of it though. It feels quite cheap. And you can pull it out quite easily. The Prime is quite disgusting and not very good.
I do feel like nowadays Pro Performance has been taken a bit too seriously nowadays.
It opened up a brand new door for what Pro Performance really should be. And that is why I think the Nexus Pro is still a pretty viable option. Dude, I'm not saying you have to go buy a Nexus Pro. I don't have the other high-end, better pump action magazine-fed springers. I'm grateful to still have this thing. I mean, I'd still play my Nexus Pro from time to time. It's not that bad. It's still pretty viable. But that is the Dark Zone Adventure Force Tactical Strike Nexus Pro. Moving towards the end of the recap, we have the Dark Zone Adventure Force Tactical Strike Aeon Pro. This was basically the Nexus Pro's little brother, but top prime. It didn't have a stock. It had a bit less features, but it retailed for about $25, which was absolutely insane back at the time. I mean, the fact that we have Pro blasters that can go for $10, $15 now, that's just ridiculous. But the Aeon Pro, it's still serviceable to this day. Once again, there are way better top prime magazine fed Pro blasters, but the Aeon Pro still works. If you want to shoot 150 FPS, if you still want to be competitive in the game, you can. And this is a sick muzzle. Why? Well, it looks pretty cool, but that's not all. Because you can shoot other ammo types like Nerf Mega, Rival, Ultra. Once again, I don't have an Aeon Pro X, known as a better blaster. Well, feel free to disagree with me. I actually think that the Aeon Pro is better. I mean, I don't know about that, but objectively, I'd rather use the Aeon Pro than the Aeon Pro X. I like the fact that you can top-load darts, which you can't with the Aeon Pro X, and also the fact that this was the very first pro-level blaster I've ever gotten. I got this for my birthday on October 29th, 2021, along with the Nerf Mega Twin Shock, which is my favorite blaster of all time. So, yeah, I admire the Aeon Pro a lot. This is my favorite pro-level blaster. There are better options, but the Aeon Pro is still serviceable to this day. I find quite a bit of these thrifted. This is the #1 pro blaster I see at the thrift store. So if you see one, you have short darts already in stock, then go ahead, give this thing a try. I don't have this next blaster, I'm just going to talk about it real quick. It's the Dart Zone Pro Mic 2. It's a 6-round internal magazine-fed top prime pistol that's super small, comes with 2 speed loaders, which was super cool and innovative back then. It shot pretty hard, a little bit less than the Aeon Pro and the Nexus Pro, but still serviceable for what it is. There are better top prime pistols, but for what I'm trying to get here, especially with these two, it's just be grateful for what you have. You might not have the newest, always better, most hottest thing. At least you have stuff that's still fun. If you don't like it and you absolutely have to have the newest thing out there, then I feel bad for you. Because just be grateful. Not everybody gets this stuff. I don't have one. I can't really formulate an opinion on one. But Dart Zone Pro Mic 2, pretty good. Speed loaders didn't really work super duper well. It was something cool. It was something new. No, there was some others. There was the Apex one, which was pretty much a rival revolver that shot less hard than some others, but it was pretty decent for what it is. And then you had the
Dart Zone Storm Squad.
Basically a miniaturized Blitzfire. So it shot pretty hard, but 4 shots. Had a pretty cool scope on the prime. But that is pretty much it. Once again, I'm not trying to sound like a Dart Zone fan, because I really am not. I know Dart Zone has issues.
I just wanted to talk about a year that I was very fond of, well, at least in the foam flinging space. I don't even think Nerf did that bad, and they brought me great memories in 2020 as well. An example, November 20th, 2020, when me and my brother won, I got the Nerf Mega Moto Strike, which I was hyped about, which I still love even though it's objectively flawed, and my brother got some Nerf Elite 2.0 and Alpha Strike stuff, and we didn't even care how bad they were. We just had a phenomenal night. But my sister Layla is always the best thing about 2020.
That's pretty much it for my Dart Zone retrospective 2020 video. Thank y'all very much for watching. I will see you on the next one. I gotta get going now because I'm going to be going to Sky Zone for Glow Night. I'll see you on the next one as always. Keep behind nerfing. God bless everybody.